Let's talk about all those smart devices in your home. You know, the smart speakers, the connected appliances, even your security cameras. They make life easier for sure. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the surprising risks that might be hiding right inside them.
So first things first, let's look at what's really going on inside your house. To get a handle on the risk, we have to understand just how many of these devices are quietly connecting to the internet and to each other right under our noses. It's kind of like a secret hidden network.
And, that brings us to a really interesting question. It sounds like a riddle, right? What could your smart fridge possibly have in common with one of the biggest cyber attacks in history? Well, the answer is a lot more direct than you might think. And the answer is something called the Internet of Things, or IoT for short. All it really means is this huge, growing network of everyday physical objects. We're talking everything from your coffee maker in your car to your toaster that now have an internet connection baked right in.
So why is this happening now? Well, it all comes down to one thing: cost. The tiny little computer chips and networking components that you need to connect a device to the web, they've become so ridiculously cheap that manufacturers are just putting them in pretty much everything they can.
But, as you can probably guess, connecting every single thing to the internet, well, that creates some brand new problems. So let's dive into how all this convenience is actually introducing some very real danger into our homes. Okay, just look at the difference here. When you buy a laptop, right, you expect it to have security features. You expect to get regular software updates. But for most of these IoT gadgets, it's a completely different story. The hardware is cheap and mass-produced, and honestly, security is usually an afterthought, if it's even a thought at all. I mean, seriously, think about it. When was the last time you updated the software on your smart toaster or your coffee maker? Yeah? The answer for pretty much everyone is never. We just don't think of these things as tiny computers that need to be patched. And this is the real heart of the problem. A single, insecure device on your home network is like leaving a window unlocked. An attacker can wiggle through that one weak spot to get a foothold, and from there they can jump over to way more important targets, like the computer where you do all your online banking. And look, this isn't just some made-up theory. This exact kind of vulnerability has already been used to cause absolute chaos on a global scale. So let's get into the story of what happens when these tiny, forgotten computers decide to attack. Now, to really get what happened, you need to know this term: a botnet. Just imagine hackers secretly taking over millions of devices, linking them all together into this massive digital army, and then pointing that army at major websites to knock them completely offline. That's a botnet. So let's go back to 2016. A huge security flaw was found in these super common, cheap parts used in millions of IoT devices. Almost right away, hackers started taking advantage of it, quietly building their army. And by the end of the year, they were ready to unleash it. So how big was this army we're talking about? We're not talking thousands of devices. We're not even talking hundreds of thousands. We are talking millions. Millions of devices all over the world, hijacked without their owners having a clue. And here's exactly how they pulled it off. The targets weren't personal computers. They were millions of insecure security cameras in homes and businesses. They secretly installed malware on every single one, basically turning them into zombie soldiers. And then they used that massive botnet army to bring huge parts of the internet to a screeching halt. You really can't make this stuff up. I mean, there's just a crazy irony in the fact that the very devices people bought to keep themselves secure were turned into the weapons for one of the biggest security breaches in history. Okay, so that's the scary part. But the good news is you're not powerless here. Now that we understand the risk, let's talk about the actual practical steps you can take to secure your own digital castle. Now, we have to be realistic. Securing all this stuff isn't always a simple one-click fix. But there are absolutely clear, concrete things you can do to seriously lower your risk and protect yourself. So here's your game plan. First, just be selective. Do you really need a smart toaster? If you do use these devices, be smart about it. See if you can keep the software on them updated. And here's a great tip. If you can, put them on a totally separate Wi-Fi network, away from your important computers. And finally, you can actually scan that network for weak spots and fix what you find. So what's the long-term fix for all this? Well, the real challenge for the future is for companies to figure out how to build security directly into these tiny computer chips from the start, without making them too expensive to put into, a $10 smart plug. And the good news is,
Major tech companies are working on this problem right now. And that really brings us to the big final question. As we keep filling our homes with all these incredibly convenient, but also potentially vulnerable smart devices, who's actually responsible for keeping us safe? Is it the company that made the device? Is it you, the person who bought it? Or is it somewhere in between? It's definitely something we all need to think about as our homes just keep getting smarter.